Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mind Palace. Today I'm here with my sister Savannah and we're going to be making a vision board.
So Sophia, what is a vision board?
You get a big Bristol board. You can go find pictures on the internet or you can cut out photos from magazines that you find, anything that really speaks to you. What you're trying to do is basically create a physical version of the vision that you have for your life.
So do you need to have like an idea of what you want to put on there, or can it just be anything that inspires you and speaks out to you when you see it?
I think it needs to be a good mix of both, because I think one of the greatest parts of making a vision board is it forces you to get really clear about what you want. And I think it helps you really develop a much clearer picture about the kind of relationships you want to have, the success that you want to have in the career, affirmations that you want to tell yourself about who you are, and also like specific experiences that you want to have in your life. So, on the channel, we've talked so much about desire. We've talked so much about decisions, and we've talked about subconscious programming. And that's why making a vision board is such a great tool, because it forces you to really think about what do you desire deep down, get in touch with like the deepest part of your heart. It forces you to make a decision about what you're gonna have. I'm putting this on my board. This will be my life. And then the last thing is the subconscious programming of it. You were gonna wake up every single day and look at this vision. You're gonna wake up every single day and see those words, and see those images. And, without even trying, those images are sinking into your subconscious. You're literally convincing yourself that that is your life. One of my first introductions to making a vision board was through the movie The Secret. And one of the guys who was in The Secret, he made a vision board and he had a picture of a house on it. Anyway, 5 years later, he's with his son and they're going through some old boxes, so some old stuff of his, and they pull out his vision board. And he just is like totally blown away, because on the vision board is that picture of a house, the house that he is living in currently. And he didn't even put two and two together until that moment. It's crazy what subconscious programming can do, because you don't even have to be fully aware of it. When you subconsciously program yourself to believe certain things are true for you, that effort will come back around. The subconscious mind learns in two ways: repetition or shock. Shock kind of requires an outside thing to influence you, right? Yeah. It's out of your control. But repetition is something that you can do for yourself. You can influence yourself through repetition. And that's why when you have this thing here that's present all the time, it's right there in front of you all the time, whether you're consciously accepting it or not, that is going into your subconscious, and it's really reprogramming the vision that you have for yourself. Where attention goes, energy flows.
From my experience in my degree, I'm in psychology, and a big thing that we've learned about is process simulation. And what it essentially is the law of attraction. You can actually set steps up on the board to how you're gonna get to this ultimate goal. Like, it helps you kind of map it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a very important part, so that not only are you doing it like throughout your thoughts, but you're also physically seeing the goals. And like, it's like mini, I forgot what it's called.
It's like an instruction manual for yourself, basically.
It's like mediators, like one little tiny goals that lead to this one main goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Helps you break down.
Yeah, they've done studies with athletes, and when the athlete imagines themselves running, imagines themselves swimming, imagines themselves doing the sport, it activates the same muscles in the brain as if you're actually doing it.
So Sophia, one question I feel like a lot of your audience might be curious about is where the Mind Palace, the name, came from.
This is a really good question. It relates really well to the whole concept of visualization. I would start building these beautiful images of what I wanted for my life. I started seeing myself in a beautiful villa in Italy with, the love of my life. And I started getting very clear on the details. And so I would continually go back to this place, and I called it a place because it made it feel more real. It made it feel like a real thing. you know? It's like a destination that you can go to. It's just in your mind, right? And eventually over time, I started calling this place that I would go the Mind Palace.
So I guess the vision board is kind of like just a physical representation of the Mind Palace.
Exactly.
So people can use this vision board that they're going to create as their Mind Palace.
Yeah, like you're taking it to the next place, because when you have your Mind Palace, when you have the concept in your mind, it's great, but when you actually put it in a physical form, you give it that much more power. You're taking one step towards bringing that spiritual, that energetic experience and making it a physical experience. So here we have the finished product of the vision board. I added in the top corner up here, I am so happy and grateful now that. And I did that because it's just a reminder to put yourself in the present when you're looking at this. This has to be a thing that you imagine for yourself right now, not some long distant dream. I love this picture of this girl in the middle. This is to represent me as the creator of my life. You know, everything starts from within me and then expresses outward. So that's why she's at the center there. And every corner represents something different. This corner represents family, you know, having a loving partnership and just being able to spoil my family. You know, I have a lot of pictures here of experiences that I want to have, places I want to go. Over here I have everything related to health, because if you don't have health, you have nothing, you know? And then finally in this corner here, I have my career goals. You know, I want to speak in front of people. Here it says New York Times bestseller, because one of my biggest goals is to write a book. You know, I want to influence people. I want to change lives. I want to inspire young minds of today. So I put a picture of this woman meditating with some children. A Rolex, because it's gonna take money for me to do all of these things, you know? And there's a lot of great affirmations on here as well, because the words that you say to yourself influence the person that you become and how you treat everyone else around you. So yeah, this is my vision board, everyone. I hope you guys have so much fun creating your own at home, and just think about it. Imagine the first thing you did every day was take a look at this. This is the first place that your attention gets directed. It's not to your phone, it's not to Instagram, you know, it's not to, oh my God, I have my exam that I have to study for today. This is where you're bringing your attention. We get so caught up in the everyday world that it's so important to remind ourselves of what's really important, to remind ourselves of our vision, to put energy into the future and not just into the struggles that we're dealing with today or the struggles that we've dealt with in the past. So everyone, thank you so much for watching, and this is your reminder to enjoy every precious moment. For more videos like this one, follow @themindpalace.ca on Instagram, like @themindpalace.ca on Facebook, and subscribe to the Mind Palace channel on YouTube.